Okay, I have a lot of company here. We'll start on our far left with Adama Sanogo, followed by Tristan Newton, Alex Caraban, Andre Jackson Jr., and Jordan Hawkins. And we'll open it up for questions for the student athletes.
Ralph Russo from the Associated Press. This is for Adama. Coming off this great game, you had that late, long-distance shot. I know that's something you've been working on. Got a bunch of threes this year.
Yeah.
You're so dominant inside. Why did you decide that that was important to add that to your game?
Like you said, this is something that I work on since I've been in college. Shooting, be able to shoot, that's something like I really want to do, and when I'm away, game is good. I feel like if you want to be you can be a great player, but I feel like if you want to be you can be a good player, but I feel like if you want to be a great player, you need to be able to do a little bit of everything. So be able to shoot was something in my mind that I really want to do. Yeah.
Back here, seventh row.
Aiden Jolly, Dale Gazette. Adama, what do you have to do in general to be able to replicate your performance from yesterday?
I feel like I just need to be a good leader for my team, and just play hard, because I feel like every time I try to play hard, everything gonna be fine after that, So my mind going to every game is be a great leader and play hard and be there for my team, So that's my mindset every day going to every game. Yeah.
Joe Ruda, Hartford Current. For Andre or whoever else wants to answer, now that you've gotten one out of the way, how does the mindset change to keep this thing going?
I think it's a similar approach to every game. It's just, like Adama said, play hard and then just play together. That's kind of like the approach we take to every game. Yeah.
Right here, front row, in the back.
Yeah, Dave Borges, Hearst Connecticut Media. Obviously, you don't see St. Mary's in person at all, really, but how familiar are you with them, and what have you seen on film maybe lately, last night or whatever? And have you seen them during the season? What do you know about the program and the team in general?
Yeah, we started watching a lot of film on them recently, and they come out of an underrated WCC conference along with they're the season champions, co-champions with Gonzaga. So we know they're a very tough team. We know they like to play at their pace. They got two great guards. They got a great center. They got a great supporting cast around them. So we're going to be in for a battle. I mean, they were close with majority of their opponents throughout the season. So we can't take them lightly, and we know they're a great team.
Far back.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Jack Swain with Spectrum News. Friday, it felt like a home game for you guys with the loud crowd here, especially since you guys are only about an hour and a half away from home. Is there any pressure knowing that you'll have that kind of atmosphere behind you again, especially with St. Mary's traveling close to 3,000 miles from home for this game?
I wouldn't say it's a pressure. I think it's awesome to have a crowd that's supporting us. We definitely like that, and we embrace it. So we're looking forward to the game and looking forward to seeing the fans out there supporting us.
Front row here.
Single ace for the Albany Times Union. For any of the players, Alex just referred to St. Mary's liking to play at their pace. Would you like to get them out of that pace? And if so, what do you try to do to get them out of their comfort zone playing at that slower pace?
Yeah, we definitely want to get them out their pace. When we play our style, I think it's very hard to beat us. So we're just going to play our style of basketball. We're going to be tough. We're going to play defense and try to get out there and run, which we've been pretty successful at. So if we do that, then I think we'll be just fine.
Second row, then here.
Tristan, when Adam was playing the way that he played yesterday as a point guard, how soon are you able to pick up on that and really, keep getting him the ball?
Does this work? Well, if Adama is 0 for 15, which I hope he never does, I'm still going to give him the ball because he's that good of a player. So you just look for him regardless of how he's playing because he works hard in the gym every day and does what he does, night in and night out. So we're going to give him the ball regardless of how he's playing.
Roger Rubin from New York Newsday. This is a question for Jordan and for Andre. After your game, Rick Pitino described Connecticut as a team that has everything that's required to win a national championship, and then he went right down the list from talent to depth to coaching to intensity. We've heard a lot of people taking a view of you from the outside. how do you guys see yourselves in terms of capability of winning a national championship?
We know we got the tools to do it. We got the confidence as well. So, I mean, that's flattering, but at the end of the day, we got to take care of ourselves. We got that mindset for ourselves, and we do. So,
I think it's just taking it game by game. Can't get there unless you take it game by game. So it's definitely good to hear that from somebody. But I think every day coach reiterates that to us, that we have all it takes. It's just about going out and executing the game plan and getting the wins one by one.
Alex?
You said me.
Go ahead.
Oh,
your thoughts?
I mean, you know, we're just gonna pretty much what both of them just said. And, we didn't come here just to win this one game, and we want to look at a bigger picture. But like Andre said, game by game, we'll just be fine.
Tristan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with all three of them.
Thank you. Nama, anything to add on that?
Same thing.
Good. Everybody's across the board. Let's go back to the first.
Mark Singles from the Albany Times Union. Tristan, for you, after being at East Carolina and not really getting a chance to play in games like this, what's it like for you to be on this stage and maybe a game away from the Sweet 16?
Feels great. This is the reason I came here, to make a deep run in the tournament. And like they've been saying, take it game by game. So hopefully we just play hard and play our solid game so we can go as far as we want to go.
Yes. Fifth row, go ahead.
Ralph Russo from AP. Go back to you, Adama. Sort of following up on what I asked you before, when you make those improvements to your game, you try to add some things to your game. Obviously, you want to be a good player for Connecticut, but you also thinking about what that means beyond Connecticut.
Right.
Those type of improvements.
Yeah, you know, like I said, you know, like a great player is a guy that that's good, that can do a little of everything. So, you know, I know like for us to like win, you know, you know, and go deeper, you know, like I know for sure my team need to play great, but I know I gotta do some positive stuff in a game. So, like shooting is definitely one thing of that, and it's also be able to shoot is also good for my personally for me, because you know, like I told you, like this shooting is something that like I work on it since I was nothing. So be able to make this shot in a big time moment, it feel good, you know. Yeah, feel good.
Go ahead, front row, and then back too.
Yeah, Tristan, obviously yesterday, statistically, it wasn't one of your better games, but other guys stepped up and you still beat a team by 20-something points. How nice is it to know that, and actually, St. Mary's the same situation. Their point guard went scoreless yesterday and they won by double digits. So two teams that have a lot of other weapons, how nice is it to know that, you know, if someone else struggles, other guys are going to pick up the slack.
Well, it's been pretty much like that all year. I mean, I've had games like this a lot of the times this year. It's not like I scored 20 points a game, so it's like they've been doing the heavy lifting the most of the year, so that's pretty much expected at this point. So knowing that I have great teammates around me is pretty good, honestly. But it's been happening all year, so we expect that to continue to happen.
Adam Zagoria, New York Times. Adama, I had a question for you, and then if any of you guys want to chime in. With NIL, you know, name, image, and likeness, only American players can benefit from that. Yeah. I know you're from Mali, you have family there, you're trying to take care of your family. What are your thoughts on not being able to do NIL here, and have you been able to do anything overseas or anything with that? And then for the rest of you guys, do you think that's kind of unfair that the farm guys can't do NIL?
I'll answer first. Yeah, NIL is definitely a good thing. I think it's definitely a good thing. You know, everybody want to be able to get some NIL. You know, but if we cannot do nothing right now, because we're international student, that's fine. You know, because remember, you know, NIL just started this year, so we are playing basketball for free in college. So if you if we cannot get anything as an international student, I think that's fine with me. But yeah, UConn is a good school, but I was able to do some camp back home in the country, last summer to help through NIL to help little kids in Africa. Yeah.
Can you repeat that to the mic to follow up?
Yeah.
So when you were in Mali, were you able to raise money that could help your family also, or just the kids mostly?
Yeah, I was able to help, like, of course I was able to help my family, you know, and I was able to help, like, kid, generally kid, because I did a camp of a kid, you know, but my family was fine before, and I was able to get people sponsor a camp, so we can do a camp. Some UConn friends sponsor a camp, so we can help, like, kid in Mali, yeah, basically, through doing a camp, yeah, it's fine.
Any of you folks have any thoughts with that for the questioner?
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I think it's really unfair that he's not allowed. He's one of the best big men in the nation, if not the best, top 3. So I think it's really unfair. But I mean, he's making the best of it. He's giving back to his home. So I think that's great. So.
You have time for another question? Yes, right here in the middle.
Tom Canavan with the AP. For those of us who haven't followed you that closely, I mean, there was a point mid-season where you guys went into a funk. What happened, and are you out of it in the sense of it's totally gone?
I mean, you play in a really tough conference, and I mean, it's hard to win games in that conference. So, I mean, I think we're out the funk. I hope we're out the funk. We've been playing really well this last month. We're going to continue doing it. So, yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, we welcome head coach Dan Hurley of Connecticut. First question. Front row, thank you. In the back.
Dave Borges, Hearst, Connecticut Media. Dan, obviously these two programs don't share a lot of history. I just wondered what you've thought of them from afar over the years, and do you have any, have you crossed paths with Randy at all over the year? How much do you know about him and what the job he's done there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Randy, I've just got a ton of respect for Randy. You know, I think, obviously, you know, you guys, you know, have your opinion of who you think the best coaches are, you know, that coach our sport. But, you know, Randy's one of the best actual coaches in terms of, like, players developing, culture, identity, you know, winning year in and year out. You know, so you know you're going up against, you know, one of the top coaches. You know, Randy was kind enough to buy my first year Rhode Island team. Went out there for a bye game when they had Dellavedova, and I thought we hung in there for a half. You know, so when I was doing the rebuild at Rhodey, he was kind enough to give us a check to fly out there to get our butt kicked. But you know, I think when you look at them, you know, you see, for me, some similarities to, like, the Villanova teams in terms of, like, they don't make a lot of mistakes. You know, they really grind you up at the offensive end with long possessions, and then their defense, they give you very, very little. And obviously the pace of play is one of the slowest in the country.
Go ahead.
Dana O'Neill at The Athletic. Dan, Donovan's progress this year, how ready-made was he, and how much has he grown during the course of this season?
Yeah, he's grown a lot. Obviously, he, you know, I think he got up to maybe in like the 290 range in terms of his weight in high school, which, you know, was certainly a concern in terms of, you know, coaches are very smart, right? Putting him in the ball screen game, running him in transition. So, you know, he did a great job of kind of losing 20 to 30 pounds before summer one started, and then, you know, our coaching staff, I think, you know, helped get him down into that 250 range by the time we were on the court working out. He's got unbelievable feel and hands, and he's a hell of a competitor. So you saw those tools, and he's got great feel for the game. I think what's really helped his development, to be honest with you, is just, you know, from June 1, he's had to play against Adama every single day from that point to this point. And you know, I think we knew we were going to have an impact from him. We didn't know he'd beat us dominant, though, at times.
Front row and then over here. Go ahead.
Coach Paul Snyder, Montauk's son. Got to know your father through the high school game in Metro New York, and got to interview Bobby up in Mohegan's Sun. Do you think about carrying the torch now that he lost yesterday in that tough game to TCU?
No. Well, no, not a torch. I got a tremendous, I think about my dad a lot, and both with me and my brother, just trying to represent him as coaches, with the way that we run our programs, the culture, the fact that we don't cheat, we don't lie, we coach our players hard. We're not trying to win a popularity contest with the media, or try to have some fake public front. We just try to be coaches, like old school coaches, in every sense of the word, relative to the players that we're responsible for. And Bob losing, he's obviously crushed. His team had an incredible run to end the year, and they played great yesterday. I talked to him this morning. It's crushing when you lose.
Front row.
How much does your depth change things? And when you're building, having guys coming off the bench, obviously they have to sacrifice some because they all want to play more. And how did that kind of all work out for you?
Yeah, I just think, I think the guys that are coming off the bench for us, they should be coming off the bench for this team. I think it's clear, who our starting five, is with this group. I think, a guy like Joey, came in here. We didn't promise Joey a minute on the court. We didn't. Donovan knew that we were returning a first-team all-conference and a preseason Player of the Year player. I think in recruiting, we're just very honest about the opportunity, so that you're more than likely going to be presented with. So when players end up, coming off the bench for us, we were very clear about that potentially being their role. So now they embrace it rather than becoming a cancer on the team.
Dan, Ralph Russo with the Associated Press. As good as Adama is, he's tried to broaden his game a little bit. And I look at guys like him and maybe Drew Timme and wonder, what is the future for those players? They seem to still have a place in college, but maybe they don't in the pros. So what is the future of players with that skill set?
Yeah. I think for those guys, for a guy like Adama, obviously it's lucrative to stay in the college game with NIL valuations. It's potentially more lucrative than going overseas for somebody without NBA draft pick or NBA player on their resume. For players like Adama to get to the NBA, they've got to demonstrate an ability to make threes and pass and handle the ball away from the basket, because that's where the game has evolved to. If players of Timme or Adama's ability, don't show enough of those things to the NBA, obviously, you could now make a lot of money in college and not have to, go to Eastern Europe, Western Europe, wherever, Asia.
Go ahead. Yep.
Roger Rubin from New York Newsday. Hey, Dan.
What's up, Roger?
Dan, you have a unique perspective of having grown up in the greater New York area, played and now coached in the Big East. 8 years ago, your face was on the back page, on the cover of every sports section in New York, because St. John's was looking for a coach, similar to like it is now. Can you sort of share your insight into what you think of that position and whether it intrigued you at all back then?
Was I on the back page today for St. John's?
8 years ago, about this week.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember that. I clipped it. I have that. Yeah. Listen, St. John's, it's a great job. I think every job in the Big East is a great job, but St. John's it's a great job. I mean, you for a program like you want history, you want tradition, you want recruiting base, and then obviously you want to have maybe an arena that you play in that you could sell. So yeah, back then, That was years ago, man. Roger, I can't remember.
Next question. Right here.
Joe Ruda, Hartford Current. Dan, when you talk about building a program's culture, how would you define the culture of this team? Is it something that changes year after year, and is there room for improvement?
Yeah, I think our culture's simple. It's like being the hardest working program in the country. We start summer workouts aren't optional. We practice both summer sessions, and we're practicing in June and July like it's November. Obviously, we don't have 20 hours a week. It's shortened, but we pride ourselves on our work ethic. We pride ourselves on our professionalism, on how we carry ourselves on campus in terms of being on time for everything, excelling in the classroom, our players being coachable and conducting themselves on the court, in a manner that not only playing hard, but the class that they play with. Obviously, we play as hard as any team in the country. We're not perfect, but I think us. I think when you watch us play, it's a we thing. It's not a me thing, and I think that's the only type of organization that I think I want to be a part of, and we recruit to it.
Ed Daniel from the Waterbury Republican. Dan, St. Mary's obviously, it may be the most methodical team you play all year. I mean, what is the biggest difficulty in speeding up a team that doesn't want to be sped up? Yeah,
they're so they're so well coached, and the exception of Mahaney, they've all been in the system or in this program. So it's going to be hard to affect them. Obviously, you could extend your defense and do some things to try to speed them up and get them outside their comfort zone. If your ball screen defense isn't 1,000% on point, Mahaney and Johnson will just eat you alive. Obviously, Saxon's a hell of a low post player. He's physical, he's tough, he's skilled. It's just a veteran group. I think, obviously, the crowd tomorrow will, I think, help us play better, but I don't think it's negatively going to affect them at all because they're such veteran players, and they've been in many big spots before.
Dan, you mentioned, just to circle back with NIL and Adama, you said it's advantageous they can make money while they're in college. He's obviously an overseas guy. They can't make money. I guess, is it your understanding that he was able to make some money when he was in Mali at the camps? And do you think it's fair that the overseas guys can't profit from NIL?
Yeah. So
I mean, eventually he'll get a payday professionally.
Yeah. You want to get like the director of Homeland Security pissed at me right now? It's like, yeah. Listen, there's creatively, I think there is opportunities for all Division I athletes, to be able to take part in it. Certainly a player of Adama's caliber deserves it for everything he's done in his career and everything he's done for UConn basketball. And you would hope that would change, but that's obviously something that, again, like Homeland Security and government and that stuff doesn't tend to move super quickly.
Coach Adam Betts with the Journal-Inquirer. Is it cool to see Apostolos and Yaren experience this tournament, guys that have never even been in the United States before this year? Yeah,
it is. And, those guys, these are really good adds to our culture. And I think both guys, we were at 11 scholarships with all of, I think we anticipated maybe being at 12 scholarships. We had one transfer, I think. That surprised us. I think the rest, we had a pretty good sense they were going. So we were, really trying to find some guys that could help us practice and would fit in well with the culture. And, I'd say especially Apostolos, it was great to get him in there. He's from Greece, but he acts like he could pass for like North Jersey.
Go ahead.
Dan, Tom Canavan with the AP. We talk about March Madness all the time, and this time of year we talk about majors and mid-majors and lower. being a Jersey guy, how much fun do you see, like St. Peter's last year, FDU this year?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm so Princeton, St. Peter's with Shaw and Tobin, unbelievable. Obviously, your heart breaks for, for Matt Painter, who's like, one of the best tacticians and player development coaches in the country. But on the flip side, obviously, it's like I couldn't believe that game last night. Or was that yesterday? That was yesterday? That was after our game? Yeah. That was before Bob's game, and yeah, that was crazy.
Dan, I'm Mark Singleton from the Albany Times-Union. Building off of that answer, do you see the competitive gap between high majors and mid majors shrinking even more?
Yeah, I think it may. A couple of years from now, I think that COVID year, there's just way more inventory with players right now. So like those extra year players that are still kind of out there, it just creates this larger inventory of older players that can transfer to the mid-major or low-major level to try to get transferred down to try to boost some statistics to create an overseas opportunity. So that inventory, I think, between the portal, that extra COVID year, has definitely strengthened mid-majors and low-majors in these games and made it scarier. I do think when that extra COVID year has evaporated, maybe it won't be as dangerous if you're a two-seater or a one.
Last one.
Dan, going back to your bench, you've been so effective lately, bringing 4, sometimes 5 subs off the bench mid-first half. Was that something you envisioned when the season began, or did that just develop because it was working earlier? Now you try it nearly every game.
Yeah, my best teams, the best team I've coached prior to, this year was probably my 6th-year team at Rhode Island, where we went 9 deep, and I think Fats Russell was maybe like my 8th man, and I had to find a way to get him 16, 18 minutes a game because he was dynamite player. So, I want to play, 9 players in a perfect world. I think during the mid part of the year, when we were struggling, I probably got a little too tight with the rotation, and that was my mistake, and obviously I've learned from it, and I'm trying to obviously trust those guys more, and then obviously we have an ability to wear a team down. Yesterday, Iona played probably as good as they could play for a half. We were playing just okay offensively and guarding just okay. But eventually, we have a chance to break a team, because we have a chance to be fresh in the last 10, 12 minutes of a game.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck
Thank you,
tomorrow.
guys. Appreciate it.